on Facebook and YouTube. Everybody on Facebook and YouTube, say hello to everybody on Zoom. It's a party. It's a Vice Freedom party. I love it. We are recording. Okay, as we are waiting for everybody to gather around with us, we are in day 3 of the Vice Freedom Challenge. And today we're going to be talking about the law of allowing. I know many of you are still kind of gathering on Facebook and YouTube, and many more are coming on Zoom. So I just wanted to say this before we officially get going. Be patient with yourself. Let's just start with where we start, and that is compassion. Compassion is the greatest tool that we have. It literally, and it's something that I think most of us are still trying to navigate and understand and play with that certain frequency, because most of us didn't learn about compassion. We learned about self-pity, or we learned about being a victim, or, maybe we wouldn't even identify, because there's no way I would ever say, oh, I'm a victim, or, oh, I do self-pity. But understanding the language of no matter what I do, I can't seem to stop eating sugar, or no matter what I do, I can't seem to stop smoking, or, doing this or doing that, whatever the vice is. No matter what I do, I can't seem to stop complaining or being late, right? Even the chronic lateness, I have a cousin who I just adore. And every time I meet her for lunch, shopping, spa, dinner with our husbands, even her own parties, she will be there at like 6 o'clock, and she'll come out at like 6:30, and all the guests are there, right? And this is her chronic thing, and she feels she has no control over it. So that's being a victim. Now, we would never say, and she would never say, oh, I'm such a victim. We would never think that way, because we wouldn't want to admit it. Right. The first time I heard about self-pity years ago, I was like, well, I'm not in self-pity. I'm not like sitting in a corner going, poor me, I suck. I'm not doing that. But the minute we're like, oh, this is so hard. Why is this so hard? That's being a victim. That's playing into your being powerless over whatever it is we're engaging in. Getting off my vice is so hard. I can't do it, right? That's being a victim. We're being a victim to our vice. And instead of telling ourselves, it's okay, you've got this. It's going to be good. All is well. Things are working out for you. Come on, you can do this, right? Having that level of self-awareness and that self-compassion, a lot of times we go into, well, no matter what I do, I can't seem to make more money, or no matter what I do, I can't seem to lose weight, or no matter what I do, I can't seem to find a partner, or no matter what I do, my business just doesn't go beyond where I want it to, or this strategy in my business, or this isn't working. And so we feel under it instead of powerful to change it. And that's the beauty of compassion, because compassion is not in a place of powerlessness or victim or self-pity, or, feeling like you're in some kind of struggle or separateness from whatever it is that you're wanting to create. So compassion allows us to just neutralize that energy, that perspective, and allows us to shift into that area of not feeling bad. Because when you're feeling at least compassion, you're feeling soothed. I know that when my husband, for example, gives me a hug, right? I'm like, oh, like that. I can feel his compassion. He doesn't feel sorry for me, but I feel his compassion around me. And then I'm like, oh, I feel neutral, right? And then I can go on. So there's things or people, ways that we can have a touchstone, if you will, to compassion. And a lot of times we take that and then might use it as, well, I gotta have my husband to give me those hugs, right? Because then I look to him as he's my source of compassion. He's an avenue through which compassion comes, or my kids or my dogs. But the source of compassion is us and us. It's the allowance. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Excuse me, is the law of allowing. Because whenever you have any resistance, whenever you're beating yourself up, whenever you're doing any of that, you're not in a space of allowing. And so compassion, that place of non-judgment where we started on day one, if you really are practicing that alone, to not judge yourself or others, to just be in a space of compassion, it changes everything. It is a game changer. Instead of judging, for example, my mom, I can feel compassion because she doesn't know, she's not aware of how her tongue can cut like a knife, or the things that she says and then goes, oh, well, I didn't mean it. How she's completely unaware. But her unawareness made me hyper aware, may be able to do and sensitive, may be able to do this. So that contrast allows me to be in a space of compassion. So welcome everybody to day 3. I know we're just getting going. I always have a little bit of time to say hello and connect before we go into the information for today. And today is the law of allowing. And please be patient with yourself. Bring in that energy of compassion. And even if you haven't stopped your vice yet, don't judge yourself for it. Allow yourself to just have awareness, notice what you're noticing about what your relationship is with the vice. If you haven't listened to the first 2 days, or especially the New Year's Eve meditation, you can go to christywhitman.com/vice freedom, and it has all of the replays there. Even if you have listened to them and you want to listen to them again, all the replays are there. So welcome to day 3. We're in the law of allowing. The law of allowing is the law of least resistance. By the way, there is a handout. I know Beth is posting it. It's christywhitman.com, I believe, /handout for our Vice Freedom Challenge. And so there's a place for you to take notes and all that kind of stuff. And then after 7 days, for those of you that are in the Vice Freedom program, we have the totality from day 1 until day 30, where you can take notes and write down the affirmations and write down the tools and things like that. So once you join the program, that'll be in your membership area. So anytime we feel, we feel resistance, we are not allowing. But the assumption is that we need to be in a state of allowing all the time. And that's just not reality for human beings. And what I mean by that is that the reality is that we have contrast, which can cause resistance. And we are aware of ourselves to know enough to recognize there is resistance within me, to realize the contrast, and then to deliberately, like we talked about the law of deliberate creation yesterday, to deliberately decide what we want and then get in the flow of that. So for all of you that are in day 3, you've worked with the New Year's Eve meditation, you've brought in the essence, connect now to that essence energy, because that is energy, whether you call it joy this year or opulent bliss, abundance, or well-being, or you've declared something. Consciousness moves fast. And it's our job to keep up with it. And how do we do that? Is that we allow ourselves to feel that container of energy, what we've declared, that energy, that pocket of energy is here for us now to connect with it. It's there, it's moving fast. And for us to partner with it is important. And as an adult right here, right now, you can probably all understand that, or you're starting to learn that. But what happens today, we're going to talk about bushwhacks because these are important. What happens is, as a, say, small child, right? Say we're going along, we're feeling the flow, we're feeling a good emotion, we're excited, we're playing with something. And remember, recovery is returning back to the self. And what is that self? Another way of saying it is our divine self, our deep connection, right? Connection to the divine. It's that free flow of energy, that deep connection that we feel. So we're going along feeling an emotion. It's usually a positive emotion, say it's excitement, and then bam, we get bushwhacked by someone or something, and then there's resistance. I can equate that to literally happening over about a week ago at Christmas Eve, feeling so good, so expansive, so grateful, and having just a very light conversation. And then boom, right? The someone was my mom that said something that was really hurtful. And then the resistance in me from all of those pain points got activated. But what happened as the adult me is there's still some little Christies inside. We all have them, not little Christies, but you have a little Jill or a little Beth or a little Emily, right? And they were going along and boom. So in my case, I'm going along, I'm playing with something and my mom says something harsh to me. And then that causes me to close down my heart instead of keeping it open and letting the energy flow. We close down our heart. We close down a part of ourselves because at the time we didn't have the tools to know what to do with that resistance. And intuitively, the choices that we had were either number one, flight, which means run away. As a small child, that's not an option, but you might try to close off, right? Even though the big people may have hurt us or bushwhacked our joy, we still needed them. So a lot of times we couldn't run away. Although I had a client who was a man that was married, I think 4 different times. And when he would see the bushwhacks or the drama in his house, he would run over to the neighbor's house. So that's always an option, right? We can run into our rooms. We can run away as much as we can run away when we're a small child. Even now, that could be our defense mechanism to, I'm out of here, right? I'm done. And it's a cutoff that comes from being in the drama triangle. You're just tired of doing this, can't deal with it anymore. So your only option is, I'm cutting off from them. I'm not seeing them anymore, right? So that's an option. The second option is flight. And that's where rebellion comes in, right? That's where a lot of times we have our vices and we're like, I'm not standing for this. I'm going to be rebellious. I'm doing this. And we're going to discuss that a little bit more because this is huge in the whole using of vices. And this is a lot of times where some of us took care of ourselves. I know I did. Being a rebel and going against the grain was basically fighting, right? Oh yeah? Well, let me push back. And then there would be, an issue kind of thing. So fighting is another option. Freeze is like a bunny rabbit, do absolutely nothing, right? If I'm still and I'm not saying anything, maybe you won't see me and you'll go away, right? So it's an absolute freeze, do nothing. The fourth option is ask for help. Now, most adults that I work with are still having I don't know. We go into the stadium of light and you're there to be able to ask for help. And you have an entire universe that wants to support you. And there's still some people that have a hard time asking for that guidance, asking for that help, asking for that assistance. Most of us were not skilled in asking for help. And I know for myself, when I asked for help, I got bushwhacked all over again. Do it yourself. Why do you need my help? Right? It was like, hey, can I get some help with this? Why? Are you lazy? It's like, what? No, I just need help. So that can condition us to not even ask for help, whether it's energetic help or light help, right? So asking for help, which is a very healthy option, but a lot of times if we have conditioning that we got in trouble or yelled at when we ask for help, we're going to have resistance, not allowing, we're going to have resistance in asking for help. The fifth option, which is the best option, which is why you all are here, is to turn inward to the true source, which is energy, turn into the true source of everything. Most of us didn't know how to do this. Most human beings on this planet still don't know how to do this. This is why this is so leading edge. This is so on the cusp, because it's like when something happens, turn inward, go upward. Most of the bigger people that were raising us didn't know how to do this. So how could they teach us to do this? That's really where the key is, where the compassion lies, where the healing lies, is to go to our one true source of everything. And then the sixth of how we cope with something is we tune out. And that's where vices come in, right? And a lot of times, it's one of the easiest ways of dealing with life, or, the loss of feeling good emotions. We tuned out. Let me explain a bushwhack. You're going along, you're feeling happy, excited, joyful, whatever that may be. And then all of a sudden the bushwhack comes, we close down. What do we close down around? We close down and subconsciously say, I was feeling excitement, and that excitement feeling I almost died because of it, or I got hurt because of it. So I won't let myself get too excited, because that could mean death, or that could mean being hurt, or that could be meaning being betrayed, or that could be meaning being abandoned. So we close down around that good feeling. And what happens though, is because we're shut down and not opened in an allowing space, like I said yesterday, the energy closes down and it creates a vortex. We've closed down and not allowed the good feeling. In other words, we've closed down and not allowing our energetic connection. And some of us use things to turn out that could have started with sugar or caffeine or some type of food or TV or video games. Others went inside and looked like they were there, but nobody's home. Like they look like they're there, but there's actually nobody there. My husband used to be like that, and he's not anymore. I'm so grateful. But you'd be having a conversation with him. It's like that movie Click, if you've ever seen that with Adam Sandler, where he's like barely there. That's how Frederick used to be, because that was his way of escaping. But in any of these cases, consciousness is trying to flow to us, through us. And now we feel bad because we're resisting that life force. We're resisting that flow of our true selves. And when we cut off from that flow, from our emotions, which is energy and motion, we cut off from our life force. Because here's the thing, if you look at it as a spectrum, like keys on the piano, every emotion has a frequency. We talked about this in Quantum Energy Mastery. If you have every different frequency of an emotion and its energy and motion, if you cut off from emotions, you're not just cutting off the negative emotions or the emotions that don't feel good, because no emotion's really negative. They're all there to inform us. But we cut off from the lower level vibrations. We're trying not to feel that. But what happens is we don't just cut off from the negative ones or the lower level ones. We cut off from all of it. We cut off from our life force. We cut off from that joy. We cut off from that excitement, from that creativity. When we escape, that's what the vice or the tool is, but we escape from the full spectrum of our life experience, the whole thing. So even though we may cut off from fear, disappointment, or frustration or sadness, we're also cutting off from the love and the joy and the excitement and the passion and the fun. Cut off in any way, we cut off in all ways. We can't fully experience our flow and the life if we're using a tool that's there to help us cope that no longer serves us. So we need to return back to the flow. And in doing that, we also need to heal the places that we have the resistance. Now, rebellion, for example, I was the biggest rebel because I would see my mom and go, okay, what not to do? I would look at my sister and go, don't want to be like that. So I would literally look at, it's like a negative. If you ever saw a picture, back in the day, we got pictures developed, right? And it came with a negative. I would try to be the opposite. I would rebel. If my mom said up, I would go down. If she said left, I would go right. If she said this is blue, I'd say no, it's green. There was a constant pushback because it didn't feel good. And that constant pushback is also what we do inside of ourselves. We rebel. I don't want to be like you, so I'm going to go the other way. And that for many, many years served me. It was a payoff, right? But I got to a point where it's like I was cutting off, rebelling from myself, from resisting any part of me that was like her, because I didn't want to be like her. So I resisted that instead of including that into the wholeness, into the oneness, because the places I was judging her, I also was judging myself not to be like her. So that's the resistance. Instead of allowing ourselves to be present with all parts of ourselves. The reality is that we all have contrast. We're all going to experience contrast, which causes resistance. And we are aware of ourselves enough to recognize the resistance when we are, I should say, when we know that, I'm feeling good, but, right? I'm really excited about this, but the but is the resistance. Realize that contrast, what you do not want. I am so grateful now for my mom, because now I see the kind of mom that I want. I mean, I have for decades, obviously 52 years, the kind of mom I want to be, and deliberately then to decide what I want and then get into that flow of that. So if there's anything that you're pushing against and you don't feel like you feel good in aspect, maybe it's someone you're in a relationship with, could be your relationship with money, it could be your relationship with your own body, whatever you are resisting, turn it into a question. What do I want? How do I want to feel? Right? Get into that flow, because that's important. So today we are going to do a nice bushwhack process. And this is very, very healing. And it has the power to really release a lot of your stuck life force energy. And it's a perfect way to come back in alignment with what we're talking about, so that the tool, you don't need it as much because you're not in that much pain. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the council and enjoy your releasing of the bushwhack process. Go ahead and just close your eyes and allow yourself to connect with the word, the phrase, the declaration, the energy stream, your own particular energy signature that you are and have declared for your new year. Let yourself just feel the connection to whether it's joy or passion or love or well-being or all of it. Just allow yourself to connect, imagining that all of your cells are like little cups that are turning upward towards the light, and just letting yourself be filled with that energy, or pouring with it, connecting with it, thinking thoughts that are in alignment with it, having your imagery, your perspective of you already having this essence, and starting to create pictures and images in your mind of what it feels like to be in alignment, to have that manifest in your life. What are you doing? What are you being? What are you having? What are you experiencing? Letting your mind start to focus and mentally create a connection with this new life force energy. We are here. Hello, delights. Allow yourself to feel where you may, in this now moment, resist all of the good that is available to you. You may find that you easily go into and connect with the energy, but then you notice there is something holding you back. Some of you say to us, I feel blocked. I feel like there's something sabotaging me, or I feel like my feet are stuck in tar. I feel like I can't move forward. And if I do move forward, I'm scared. That part of you, go within your own physical body and in your heart center. Feel where you have the constriction. Feel where you have had to cut off or constrict or fight or flee. And you have closed down your heart to either a certain person, to parts of yourself, to even light, the universe. And feel in your heart, are you willing to open up your heart? Just with your willingness of opening up your heart, allow your heart to start expanding. And as you do, with that awareness of it being closed down to a certain person, place, thing, whatever it may be, as you open up, the energy starts to move. It moves up into your mind, and you might have some images or thoughts that come up because it's been contained in there. So as the images come up, just let yourself be the observer. Don't get caught into the thoughts. Just watch the thoughts as they come up. And as you are opening up your heart center even more, feel and witness the energy going down into your belly. So just for a moment, and it might be uncomfortable, but just connect with the energy, not the story, not the hurt feelings, but feel your way into the energy. Feel your way into the belly, and just whatever is happening there, let yourself pulsate the energy, and so that you are releasing it. Now, you might have an image of yourself of when you were bushwhacked. You get an image of a time when you felt excited about something and then crash, or you were joyful or passionate or looking forward to something, and then boom, you got disappointed. Allow yourself to come back into that energetic flow of that good feeling of excitement, of fun anticipation, of looking forward to something. And from that younger part of you, could have been yesterday, it could have been 10 years ago, it could have been when you were 3. That part of you that was reaching outside of yourself to someone and then got disappointed, to a certain company that disappointed you, or to a situation or what someone said or did, or something that happened that was shocking in your life, or a loss that you had. Feel as if you are reaching out to something or someone in your third-dimensional reality, and you came up empty-handed. So you close down. Well, instead, turn your attention inward to the light within you, the very breath within you, and look up. Allow source, like there is a treasure chest above your head. Let source start to fill you up, start to continue to expand your heart, and therefore your energetic container with this energy of either compassion, a nice pink soothing energy, letting yourself neutralize and release that bushwhack, release that energy that got stuck. Another way of saying it is releasing that pain point, letting yourself be filled with the compassion energy for having to have gone through what you went through, for being a human and not having a good moment in time. And just letting yourself fill up with light. Letting that pain point and what you do with some of your vices, you can cut the cord to it or just see the cord dissolve altogether, so that you are in your container of light, the only tool you really ever need. Returning back. And yet, if you still are using a vice, if you are still drinking that caffeine, if you are still smoking or drinking something or eating something or thinking something or having some type of habit or behavior, just include all of it in the awareness of this new flow of energy. Give gratitude for the thing that you are letting go of, the vice. Give gratitude that also dissolves the energy. Give gratitude that thank you for being there in a moment when I needed something. Thank the fudge as you then fill up with light, as you fill up with what it is that you want to connect with, the frequency and the energy. And imagine a downpouring of light pour down into your physical body, and wherever you have any old bushwhacks or pain points, just allow that to dissolve in light. Any place you feel containment, expand beyond it. Light always transmutes the lower. Letting yourself be in the space of healing, moving from one vibration to another, returning back to the essence of you, reminding each of you that you are infinitely loved. Be well. Allow yourselves to receive in more light as you start to come back into your body, feeling the light all around you, feeling that beautiful energy transmission from the council, wiggling your fingers and your toes, opening up your eyes, and just noticing what you're noticing now about yourself and letting yourself be in that space of compassion, that space of allowance. And any moment in time when you notice that there is resistance, you can follow that resistance back, follow the thought, just be curious. Don't become the thought, but, oh, that's curious. Okay, I'm having compassion for myself for even having that thought. And interesting, where did that thought come from? Be curious, right? So just allow yourself to stay in this space of compassion, drink the water. We have another affirmation to give in a minute. I just want to say this to you. We're in day 3. I invite you to enjoy the rest of January through the Vice Freedom program. And you obviously, once you do an abundance exchange, it's now $397. You get Vice Freedom every time we do it. Sometimes I do it twice a year. And you also get 2 Q&A Zoom calls where you can go deeper in the healings and ask your personal questions to the council. All of it is recorded. So if you can't join us live, your energy body is there because you're the one that commands your body once you are listening to the recordings. And you can go to christywhitman.com/Vice Freedom for all of the other replays. If you want to listen to this again, it also has on that page when the Q&A calls are, so you can join us live or maybe bilocate and listen to the recordings. So the affirmation for today, and these affirmations are really energized with the council's energy and for each of you, and they build on each other, but these affirmations are there to be a tool. And so this is the tool for today, is to write down these affirmations, put them where you see them, make them your own, rearrange them if you need to, make up your own if you want to, but utilize these affirmations that when you have a thought of going to use your vice, or you have a negative emotion, or you're noticing some contrast, check in with, what do I want? Why do I want it? And how do I want to feel? Because the affirmation for today is, I check in often with my innermost self to know and live my higher purpose. Now you can make it, I check in often with my inner self so I can connect with the essence energy that I desire. But check in often with your inner self today. That is the tool to literally connect inward and go, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's up for you right now? I had Kim and Beth, who are just dolls. Kim the other day just said, how are you doing? And it was oh, thank you for asking. Right? It was a genuine, like, how are you? So give that to yourself. Check in with yourself and say, how are you doing today? What do you need? What do you desire? Maybe you need more rest. Maybe you need more play. Maybe you want to connect with a girlfriend or a friend, or, maybe you want to go do something or hike, or check in with yourself. What would fulfill you today? Check in with your innermost self and connect with that energy, which is available to you all the time. So appreciate you all so much. Tomorrow is day number 4, where we're going to be talking about the law of sufficiency and abundance, which is, for me, the law that comes, just pulls it all together. Because if we're in abundance, we feel good, we're not in resistance, and we don't need tools other than the abundance that we feel. So have a great day, everybody.